In this video, we'll be talking about the diagnostic features of chordates, and this course is basically the basic chordate zoology. So this video will be basically on what are the classification of chordates, what are the diagnostic features of each chordate, and the first thing we'll be talking about now is what are the diagnostic features of chordates. Now, remember that in one of our videos we have mentioned that we have four kingdoms. We have the kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Animalia, kingdom Fungi, and kingdom Plantae. And we said in kingdom Animalia, which is the basic one that we are dealing with in zoology, we have phylums. And one of the phylums, and one of the most important phylums that we talk about is what? Is the phylum Chordata. Chordata. Now, what are the characteristic features of chordates? Characteristic features of chordates that makes it to be different from what? From other phylums in what? In animal kingdom. What are the diagnostic features of chordates that makes it to be different from other phylums in the animal kingdom? And that diagnostic features is basically four, named n squared, p squared. You understand? So this n squared, p squared, that's the acronym, and these are the n stand for notochord, another n stand for nerve cord, the p stand for pharyngeal slits, and the P stand for the post-anal tail. So these are the diagnostic features. However, it should be noted that in some textbook we mention another diagnostic features, that is E, and that is named the endostyle. So if you say the endostyle, you should not be confused. It's also part of the diagnostic features of what? Of chordates. But basically, the ones that we'll be talking about in this video is the n squared, p squared. So that is notochord, nerve cord, pharyngeal slits, and the post-anal tail. So these are the four that I'll be talking about. So the first one that we'll mention is the notochord, the mark in purple, the notochord. Now let's talk about the notochord. This is how the notochord looks like. The notochord is internal. It is inside the what? So let us take this as an example. This is an embryo, a developing embryo. You will see that this is the notochord, and it is inside the what? It is inside the embryo. You understand? And the it's a skeletal structure. It looks like a skeleton. It's a skeletal structure. So look at this, and it is encased by what we know as the fibrous sheets. You understand? It is encased by what we know as the fibrous sheets. The wall of notochord is thick. The wall of notochord, they are thick, and there is a semi-fluid within the notochord. There is a semi-fluid within the notochord. Now it should be noted that notochord is the first part of the endoskeleton. Four parts of the endoskeleton. In what? In a chordate. You understand? And it is an axis for muscle attachment, which means being the axis for muscle attachment, it function. It permits the undulating movement of the body. You understand? It permits the undulating movement of the body. Now, this notochord, the question is, we are also a chordate. Humans are chordates. Does humans have notochord? Yes, they do. During their embryonic development, they do have notochord. But what happens to notochord is that a notochord can be modified into something else, and it can persist in some animals. In some chordates, it persists, e.g., hagfishes and lamprey. It persists in hagfish and lamprey. They still have what? They still have notochord. And it can be modified into a vertebral column in humans. Or don't let me say humans. Let me say in vertebrates. So invertebrates. it is modified into what? It is modified into vertebral column. You understand? It is modified into the vertebral column. So in arcfishes, it persists. It still remains the same. You understand? It still remains the notochord. But in vertebrates, an example of vertebrate is what? Human is an example of vertebrate. So in vertebrate, it's what? It developed into what we know as what? What we know as the vertebral column. And vertebral column is what we know as the spinal column. What you used to call spinal cord, but it's not spinal cord. It is vertebral column or spinal column. Are you getting me now? So in Amphiosus, I will tell you what an Amphiosus is when I'm classifying chordates. I'll tell you what an Amphiosus is. In Amphiosus, it originates from the endoderm, from the inside. It originates from the inside. So this is an example of Amphiosus. We are Amphiosus because we originate from an egg that consists of a particular fluid called the amniotic fluid. You understand? So in Amphiosus, the notochord originates from the endoderm. Are you getting me now? Now, in birds and mammals, the anterior outgrowth of the embryonic it is the anterior outgrowth of the embryonic primitive stick, which I'll be explaining later. So that is just the basic stuff about the notochord. Now, another thing that you have to note about this notochord is that the notochord is at the dorsal of the what? Of the guts. You will know that it is what? At the dorsal of the gut. So it is placed at the dorsal of the what? Of the gut. So these are the things that you have to note about notochord. So that is all about the notochord. So moving up from notochord, we have the nerve cord. Now, what is the nerve cord? The nerve cord is the nerve cord, it is above the notochord. So look at this. This is the nerve cord around this place, and this is the notochord here. You will see that the nerve cord is above the what? It is above the notochord, and it is along the developing chordate body. Now, the notochord is hollow, and when you see something is hollow, it means it has two ends. You understand? It is hollow, but the hollow center might becomes obliterated during development or during growth. Are you getting me now? Now, the anterior part of the notochord, which is this side of the notochord, it forms the what? It forms the brain. Are you getting me now? It forms the brain. While the posterior part of the notochord, it forms the what? The spinal cord. So we can say the notochord forms the what? The central nervous system. So what did I just mention now? The anterior part, which is this, forms the what? The brain. And the posterior part forms the what? The spinal cord. Are you getting me now? Now, this hollow cord, which is the holodorsal nerve cord, it is formed by the ectodermal infolding. You understand? Infolding of the ectodermal cells on the dorsal side of the body above the notochord. So during embryonic development, you understand? During embryonic development, the endodermal cells, which is the cell that are inside the body, becomes infold. So infolding of the what? Infolding of the endodermal cells. Infolding. So they become infolding of the endodermal cells, and these endodermal cells are the cells that are placed above the notochord, not below it. So if you notice very well, the notochord is here and the nerve cord is here. You understand? So the nerve cord is above the notochord. Now the nerve cord now passes through the posterior neural arcs of the vertebrae. What is the vertebrae? Vertebrae is the vertebral column that is formed by the what? By the notochord, which means at this side there will now be the vertebrae. You understand? During development, the spinal column is going to be formed, and this dorsal nerve cord is going to pass in between the what? In between the vertebrae. Are you getting me now? So the anterior of the nerve cord now forms the what? Now forms the brain, and the brain is covered by the what? It is covered by a cartilaginous cranium during development, which later becomes a bony cranium. So in humans, so cranium. Let's say it is covered by a cranium. You understand? So it is surrounded by a body known as what? Known as the cranium. Now that is for the so this picture is also showing the same thing. This is the notochord, this is the nerve cord. You understand? So it is also showing the same thing. So look at this. We have the what? We have the pharyngeal slits. That's the next one that we're talking about. Now, how does the pharyngeal slit is formed? Now, pharyngeal slit is formed by the in-pocketing of the ectoderm and the out-pocketing of the endodermal lining of the pharyngeal pouches. In-pocketing, that is infolding. So if you should have something like this, infolding, so if you have an ectodermal cell, ectoderm, something that is outside, it infold, it goes inside, you understand? And endoderm outfold, you understand? So it is two things. Invagination, that is infolding, invagination of the ectoderm. Are you getting me now? And evagination of the endodermal lining. That is how endodermal lining. That is how the pharyngeal slit is formed. Are you getting me now? Now, in amniotes, when we talk about amniotes, we're talking about these animals that develop from amniotic fluid. You understand? Now, the amniotes, they may not break through the they may break through the pharyngeal cavity to form a pharyngeal groove. So in amniotes, an example of, we are also an amniote, you understand? We are an amniote. An example of amniote is us. So they form a pharyngeal groove by breaking out or by breaking through the pharyngeal cavity. But in tetrapod, example of tetrapod means what? Tetrapod means animal with 4 legs. You understand? Animal with 4 legs. Now, in tetrapods, they form these pharyngeal slits forms in tetrapods. What are the things that they form? Tetrapods. They forms the eustachian tube, the tonsil, the middle ear cavity, and the parathyroid gland. So these are the things that they form in tetrapods. You understand? In animal with 4 legs, we also have an animal with 4 legs. Now, in some animals, the perforated pharynx appears as a filter feeding organs, and it is very, very important in animals like protochordates. I get me now. Animals like protochordates. Example of protochordate is branchiostome. Branchiostome is an example of protochordate. Branchiostome. So what happened? They feed by ciliary action. Let me just this is how they look like. They have one stuff here, and they have their pharyngeal slit around this side. You understand? So there are cilia in this place. They use cilia for taking water into their body. You understand? And this water that is taken into their body goes through the pharyngeal slits. Are you getting me now? Goes through the pharyngeal slits, and inside the pharyngeal slits there are something we call the mucus. Are you getting me now? Now, this mucus, what they do is what? They trap food particles. They trap food particles. Are you getting me now? They trap food particles. Now, these food particles that are trapped, the water, the excess water that is not needed by the body, will flow outside of the what? Will flow outside of the body through the what? Through the pharyngeal slit as well. Are you getting me now? Now, in vertebrates, this ciliary action is replaced by maxillar pharyngeal contraction. You know the one that I just mentioned now, the branchiostome. It is like invertebrate. It's an invertebrate. It should be noted that all vertebrates are chordates, but not all chordates are vertebrates. Are you getting me now? All vertebrates are chordates, but not all chordates are vertebrates. I'll mention what a vertebrate is later. So, like I said now, in branchiostome, what they use it for is ciliary action. And what they use the ciliary action for is for feeding, basically for feeding. Are you getting me now? So, it's for feeding. Now, in vertebrates, which is animal with backbone, the ciliary action, instead of using ciliary action for feeding, they replace it by maxillar contraction of the pharyngeal, maxillar pharyngeal contraction. You understand? Maxillar pharyngeal contraction, just like our pharynx, the way we feed. You understand? Now, in some fishes or pisces, fishes, let me just say fishes, they use these pharyngeal slits. Addition of capillary networks to these pharyngeal slits provide a thin gas permeable wall. Provide a what? A thin gas permeable wall. So addition of capillary network to this pharyngeal slit now provide a thin gas permeable wall that is called the what? That is called the internal gills. So gills. And what they use gills for? For gaseous exchange. So they use for what? For gaseous exchange. I get me now. They use for gaseous exchange. So what is gaseous exchange? That is respiration. So we can say they use it for respiration. Respiration. So what I mentioned now is that pharyngeal slits in amphibians, in protochordates like branchiostome, they use for feeding. In human, it's in amniotes, let me say tetrapod. In tetrapod, it developed into tonsil, eustachian to medullary cavity, parathyroid gland. While the addition of capillary network to this particular structure in fishes develop into a gill, which is used for what? For respiration. You understand? For respiration. Now, after that, we now have the post-anal tail. Now, when you say post-anal tail, see, this is the post-anal tail here. This is the anus at this place, and this is the post-anal tail. Now, this post-anal tail is an extension of the notochord. The extension of the notochord, and it is a muscular structure at the end of a developing chordate. At the end of a developing chordate, and it is behind the anus. So the name post-anal tail, after the anus tail. You understand? It is located behind the anus. Now, it is evolved. What is the function? It is evolved for propulsion in water. So it is for movement in water, propulsion in water. While one thing about it is now that in some animals it is modified into something else, while in some animals it persists. In some it becomes vestige. When they say it becomes vestige, it means it becomes reduced. You understand? Like in human we have a post-anal tail during our own development, but during development it becomes vestige. You understand? It becomes shortened to the extent that it fused together to form something we know as coccyx. So coccyx. You understand? That is the tailbone. So that is what we mean by that. But in fishes, it is used for efficient swimming in fishes, in addition to fins. You understand? In fishes, it helps in what? It helps in swimming as well. While in some animals like dog, goats, they have a tail, a wobble tail, a tail that they can use for chasing flies and stuff like that. So that is basically the four diagnostic features of chordate. And I've mentioned the notochord, which can be modified or persist, and if it gets modified, it's modified into vertebral column in tetrapod. And the nerve cord, which the anterior develop into the brain, and the posterior develop into the what? Into the spinal cord. And we have the pharyngeal slits, in which in amniotes it develops like vertebrates. In tetrapods it develops into tonsil, eustachian tube, pharyngeal slits, develop into eustachian tube, middle ear cavity, and the parathyroid gland. While the post-anal tail in tetrapod it becomes in humans it becomes vestige. So I said post-anal tail. It becomes vestige in human because it becomes reduced. While in fishes it is used for swimming, for efficient swimming. But in other animals like dog, goats, they still have their wobble tail. You understand? So now we can proceed from there to the next thing, and that is, so all the explanation I've been making now since morning, they are from this place, and I hope you get my explanation. Now let us now move to the division of chordates. That's classification of chordates. Now look at it. This is what I was talking about. So if we check the classification, we have the urochordates, the cephalochordates, the myxinin, the cephalomorphies, the chondrochites, the osteochites, amphibians, reptilia, aves, and mammalia. You understand? That is what you're having. But how will I classify my own? Let me just classify it like this. We have, look at this, we have the hemichordates, though the hemichordate is not really necessary, but let us put it there. The reason why I do not want to put hemichordate is because they are hemi. They are in between chordate and echinoderm. You understand? But let's just leave it like that. Now we have urochordate. Urochordate. Are you getting me now? We have the cephalochordate. Cephalochordate. And we have the vertebrates. Vertebrates. Are you getting me now? Now under these vertebrates, we now have what we know as, we also have agnatans. Yeah, we have the agnatans. Or let me just say under vertebrates. So we have know that these are the classification of chordates, right? So these are the classification of chordates. Now we now have under vertebrates. Under vertebrates, we have two things. We have the agnatans, and we have the gnatostome. Now, these agnatans, when you see gnat, it means jaw. You understand? And when you see A, it means no. You understand? So we are saying these are animals without jaws. They don't have jaw. Why this one are what? They have their jaw. So we can call this one jawless. You understand? So I can say agnatans are what? Are jawless. They are jawless vertebrates. An example of agnatans is lamprey. Lamprey is an example of agnatan. Lamprey. Now, gnatostome, they are the one with jaw. So we can say jawed vertebrates. You understand? Jaw vertebrates. Now, under this gnatostome, we can now still classify them into 5 or 6. Now, let me now classify them. Gnatostome. Gnatostome can now be classified into the first one, the osteochites. Those are the bony fishes. The chondrochites. And these are the cartilaginous fishes. We have the amphibians. We know what amphibians is. Amphibians, right? The ones that can live on both land and water. We have the reptiles, right? We have the reptiles. We have the aves, and we have mammals. So these are the classification of what? Of gnatostome. So what I just said is that chordates can be classified into 3: urochordate, cephalochordate, and vertebrates. You understand? Under vertebrates, we now have 2. We have the agnatans and we have the gnatostome. Agnatans are those ones without jaw, you understand? And gnatostome are the one with jaw. Under gnatostome, we now have 6. We have the osteochites, we have the chondrochites, we have the amphibians, we have the reptiles, we have the aves, and we have the mammals, right? So these are the 6 that we're having in gnatostome, you understand? And I said osteochites are bony fishes, chondrochites are cartilaginous fishes. The both of them, they are known as pisces, you understand? They are also called pisces, you understand? Amphibians, they are the ones that can live on both land and water. Reptiles, ave, and mammals, they are the ones that live strictly on land. So what is there is that osteochites and chondrochites, they are restricted to water. Amphibians can live on both land and water. Reptiles, ave, and mammals, they are restricted to what? They are restricted to land, you understand? So these are the classification, and this is what they actually put here. So apart from that, we can classify them based on, do they have cranium? Do they have head, like a visible head? So the ones that are having cranium, they are called âcraniata. You understand? The ones that doesn't have cranium, the one that doesn't have cranium, they are called âcraniata. While the ones that have cranium are called what? They are called craniata. So you can see that from the hagfish, down to the mammals, they all have cranium. But tunicates, which is urochordate, and lancelets, which is cephalochordate, have no cranium. They don't have head. You understand? Now, this is the agnatans that I was talking about, hagfish and lampreys, and this is the genatostome that I was talking about. You understand? This is genatostome based on the presence of jaw. You understand? And Pisces, I've already mentioned, that is osteochite and chondrochite. They are Pisces. Tetrapod, they are the ones that are having 4 legs. You understand? 4 legs. Now, we now have amniota and anamniota. What is amniota? Gotten from the word amniotic fluid. So, amniota are those ones that develop from an egg with a particular or a special fluid called the amniotic fluid. An example is reptiles, aves, and mammals. While the other ones, they are amniota, anamniota, they don't have amniotic fluid during their stage of development. So this is basically the classification of what? Classification of chordates, you understand? But generally, the first one that I classify for you is general classification, which is urochordate, cephalochordate, and vertebrata, you understand? So that is urochordate, so can you see now? Urochordate, cephalochordate, and vertebrata, you understand? So let me just mark it again. Urochordate, cephalochordate, and vertebrata. Are you getting me now? So under vertebrata, we now have the genatostome and the agnatans, you understand? Under agnatans, we now have lampreys and hagfish, you understand? Under genatostome, we now have the chondrochite, osteochite, amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammals, you understand? And under all these ones, we have anamniota. Those are the ones that doesn't have amniote, and amniota. Those are the ones that have amniote. So we have talked about the basic chordate zoology in this particular aspect, and I hope you have learned some things on this. The next video will be talking about the each classes that we have talked about, the classification that we have talked about. Thank you so much.